Hey y'all, it's Chris with Rockin Farm. I got the whole family out today because it's planting day.
So we're gonna go like this, okay? And we're gonna get close to the fence. Get close to the fence. And you're gonna move the dirt like that, okay? And then grab your shovel. Grab your shovel. Here, I'm gonna send it down the wood. Now make a hole right there. Can you make a hole? You grab your shovel like this. And then you're gonna grab the hole and then you're gonna put it right over here so we can use it in a little bit, okay? It's probably good, huh, Daddy? Oh wow, those roots are awesome. Look at those roots. Look, Colty. Look at the roots of the cup.
Hey y'all, what do you think about the root system on these?
Those roots are beautiful, huh? Dang, babe, you're awesome.
So that's what we're getting out of this grow system that we set up here, people. Nice long hair roots. And we're not too root bound. Nice thick stalks. All right, beautiful people. So I shot some footage of us working and I'm sure I edited that down quite a bit by this point. Who knows? Maybe I even add a little bit of music again. Who knows? I definitely cut out all of the swearing and name calling. So out here in the garden and we got a lot done today. And I'm happy and everything, nothing's looking real transplant shocky right now. So let me show you what we've got. We're not completely done. We've run out of time. We've got other responsibilities that we have to take care of as far as the family goes. Still have eggs to collect. We still need to get dinner ready. But we've got a bunch of tomatoes here, and because of the garden space that we have, we multiplied the size of the garden by 5 from what we had last year. But last year we were honestly just trying to get in a garden, because you know, if you're a homesteader, you have to have a garden. That's just like some sort of an unwritten law that you can't go without one. So we hurried up and got one in. This year we were a lot more mindful about it, but man, I wish I had those 3 extra boxes that we're putting in next year. So right here I have a series of Amish paste tomatoes, and then the second half of this garden bed here is our Roma tomatoes. They've been in the ground all day long. They've been out in the sun all day long. They've been out in the breeze all day long, and nothing's looking real wilty or unhappy. So I think we did good with hardening everything off and growing everything. The reason we've got this big mound of mulch here is because I'm gonna put green beans down both sides of this bed. We're gonna plant a whole buttload of green beans at once so that we can make a big harvest so that we can can them. So when they stop producing, they stop producing. Maybe we'll try and plant some more when the weather cools off, like in August-ish, and get another big batch of green beans. But that's the deal, is we're gonna put green beans down both sides of that. In here, I'm not sure if that is what an orchid nasturtium is supposed to look like or not. The leaves look very healthy, but they seem super leggy. I said, let's just put them in the ground, and then let's plant a seed right next to the plant. And if the seed starts growing a much healthier plant than this, then we'll cut this one out. But so those are orchid nasturtiums, and then the spots that are hollowed out, those are some sort of little yellow squash that I will edit the words on top of in this thing, because now I'm drawing a blank. On this trellis, we are going to plant our Scarlet runner beans. They'll climb up and get really flowery and pretty, so I'm going to do those on both sides. This trellis here has cucumbers. I've got cucumbers growing on this side as well. This side is going to have butternut squash, but we couldn't plant them because I've got fire ants in my bed. So I flooded out the fire ants, and we'll see if we can get them to go away. These are the 3 peas that just kind of survived. So those are going to be those tendril peas. I've got a flower here that I'm drawing a blank on. So I'll throw the name up when I edit this video. That's chamomile there. Right here I planted my okra. Right here I planted my solar flare tomatoes. And in front of the solar flare tomatoes, I'll put my Carolina Reapers. Our experience with Carolina Reapers is that they're a relatively small pepper plant. So I think that they'll do okay, and there's only 4 of them. So they'll go right here in front of the solar flares. These are the onions that we planted a few weeks ago. This is just gonna be one giant basil bed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna harvest basil off of this all year long. And when we're kind of done harvesting basil, we're gonna let it all go to seed, and then let all the seed drop back down in the bed. And then hopefully next year, basil just starts coming back. We planted some squash in this bed, a couple of different varieties. We kind of squeezed 6 plants in there. And if we have to pull 2 of them out, we will. Let me see, y'all know about the walking onions. That bed there is gonna be sweet potatoes, but the sweet potato slips are not here yet. These 2 beds are gonna be asparagus, but the asparagus slips are not here yet. That is also chamomile. All down this row is gonna be a few different varieties of peppers. Again, we're not planning on saving seed this year because we're planting all of our peppers really close together, so it would just be mystery seed anyhow. Cilantro going in these buckets, just a little bit, but you know, it's there. And then I have 3 different varieties of cherry tomato, basically. I've got black cherries, I've got yellow pears, and I've got atomic grape tomatoes growing in all these buckets. I've done really well with cherry type tomatoes in buckets in the past, so I don't have any reason to believe that we won't again. Everything is hooked up to irrigation, so all we have to do is come out here and turn some valves, and we've got water going on. So you know, we've been watering as we've been planting today, but like right now it's time to go get the eggs. I could turn some valves on, go collect eggs, check in on the chickens, replace their bedding, blah, 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 and then come back out and turn off the valves later. So spring is definitely springing here. Property's looking beautiful. Our garden is 80% planted. We're not quite done yet. My wife begged me today, and she is my queen, so she gets whatever she wants, to go ahead and build her one more box. So we're gonna build an 8-foot by 3-foot box to put along the fence right there. And then I'll have to just get a couple of irrigation parts that I don't think I have to splice into a piece of irrigation over yonder, and run the black hose over here. That 24 square foot box is all gonna be dill, because we like, you know, pickling cucumbers. We like pickling extra green beans once we've put up enough quarts for the year. We like pickling eggs. We just like to pickle. So the fresh dill is really nice. And the reason I'm planting so much is because I also like monarch butterflies. So I figure some of it can be sacrificial for the butterflies. We are going to put more dill out in our more flower type planters in the front. And that dill really is pretty much just sacrificial. So we try to plant lots of dill so that the caterpillars can have a munch of dill, and then we can still get some dill. So basically, if they start getting way too aggressive on this dill over here, I can, you know, harvest caterpillars from here and hopefully transplant them over there and they'll still survive. But all the dill that's going to be up in the front of the house is all going to be sacrificial for the purpose of the monarch butterfly. I don't know, we just got a lot going on. So dill still has to go in. Pumpkins, I'm going to plant my pumpkin seeds next to my trees and let the drip irrigation from my apple trees and apricot trees and Hanson's bush cherries and some other plant that I'm drawing a blank on. Y'all, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I'm mentally tired because we've been doing a lot of on-the-spot garden planning. So elderberry, that's what it is, elderberry. Hanson's bush cherry, elderberry, apple, apricot. Those are all the trees and bushes that I have growing out in the pasture, or I guess we can say the orchard. I'm going to put a couple of pumpkin seeds in the ground next to each tree and just let them kind of trail out and shade the ground and hopefully help with moisture retention. Because my experience with pumpkins in the past has been that you get a ton of vine and like a pumpkin or two. So I'm mostly using them for the, hey, cool, look, we got a few pumpkins. Isn't that fun? Let's carve them and have a good time. But hopefully they'll do some good work of kind of keeping moisture in the soil because of the big broad leaves. And then along this fence line, on the back side of this fence line, we are going to plant all of our melons, cantaloupes and kajaris, and we're just going to let them kind of trail down the hill. And we figure if we start getting some pest pressure, then we'll throw up a really quick makeshift fence for them. But that's just, we just don't have enough garden space, y'all. I mean, we thought we had a ton of garden space. We just don't have enough garden space. So I'm really looking forward to getting the rest of those beds in. I'm going to be really busy this week building her one more bed. And then hopefully we'll finish up the planting next weekend. But we had a really good time today. The entire family came out. It already looks pretty. Even though everything is only, you know, this tall, it already looks pretty. And I could not be happier with my stinking seed starting system. Y'all, did you see those hair roots on those tomatoes? It was unreal. Absolutely unreal. I mean, that is a good, healthy plant. They had thick, healthy stalks on them. Easily as thick as like the head of a Q-tip. The plants were all, you know, 5 to 7 inches tall. And then they had 12 inches of hair roots hanging off the bottom of them, y'all. It was absolutely amazing. So they're getting a really good start at life. Those roots can just start spreading out, and I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier. 6 weeks ago, I put those plants out in those buckets. 3 weeks later, I gave them water. That was the extent of it because the lights were on timers, the fans were on timers. The water wicked up itself. I mean, I literally did not have to do anything to baby those plants. And now we're putting 7-inch tall plants with 12 inches of root into the ground. So I'm gonna have to say my experiment was a success. And if anybody wants to know how to build that system, this is the first time that I actually kind of feel like a bit of an expert in something. If anybody wants to know how to build that system, you call me. It wasn't all that expensive. Get a hold of me on my email address, and I'll go ahead and say it here too. Rockin, no G, Rockin number 8 farm, Rockin8farm at gmail.com. I'd be happy to give you the links to everything that went into that system, break down price cost to you, give you my phone number and answer any questions you may have about it, because I couldn't be happier with that system. So peppers, we're going to let them grow out another week. I'd like them to get a little taller and a little beefier. Tomatillos, we're going to let them grow out another week. I'd like them to get a little thicker, a little beefier. I think they're looking a little leggy now. I'm going to drop some lights right down on top of them and see if I can get them to kind of beef up. But other than that, you know, we're about 80% planted in the garden, and we'll finish it up next weekend. I can't really think of anything else. I'm just excited, y'all. Can you tell I'm excited? It's ridiculous how excited I am. So yeah, that's it, man. We'll throw this video up, come up with something cool to show you on Friday. Until I see everybody again, please just be happy, live healthy.